Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2, feedback, check, 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 check. Oh, enough of that. Alright, we're back, and you are probably very familiar with that sound and scenario if you've ever tried to use this little bugger. This is the stock patch envelope filter. We'll take a look at this. This is exactly how it comes programmed out of the box. And going through the line here, the compressor is off. We'll turn that on. And we'll look at the preamp, and there's where our problem is. You see it? That little bugger in the gain is up to 8 in the preamp on the stock pedal. So we're going to adjust that down, and you might see that DS in the preamp. DS is actually quite literally de-essing. It's something called sibilance. Whenever you talk and hear people speak into a microphone, the S sound might be extremely pronounced. So that DS takes out that frequency, pulls that out, and makes the S's a little bit more, or a little less pronounced. Keep in mind this was designed as a vocal pedal, so that's why that is in there. For us, it does not have any practical purpose unless you plan on doubling this thing and using your saxophone mic as a vocal mic as well. Then you may want to consider experimenting in that. Okay, we're going to back out of this for a minute. Patches 41 through 80, just as Clarity, those are always going to be your fallbacks. You can never truly save those and reprogram those. If you try saving them and reprogramming them, they will overwrite patch 1 through 40. The corresponding, in this case, would be patch number 7, would be the first time that you see this. So if I tried to store and save, which would be this little button right here, that would completely overwrite my particular wah effect, which we're going to go to, and I'll break it down, the effects that I'm currently using to get that particular envelope effect that you heard previous. Okay, and once again I keep the compressor on, put it on medium, 0 gain. The preamp settings, 2 preamp gives a warmer sound. The gain, of course, is going to be set at 0. DS, I mean, you can mess around with that. 1 is the lowest setting for that, and it goes all the way up to 50, but like I said, no purpose for us. Okay, and the equalizer, once again, keep that all flat, or as flat as you could possibly get with the tone knobs. Gate I keep off in this case. It doesn't really, like I said, I usually use my external compressor for that. The effect, of course, is envelope and range. This is very important. The range kind of determines the attack that's made, and I like keeping that range down low, and I have a little guitar amp right here that you can hear. But I like keeping that range down low because when you pull it up, it becomes more higher pitched, more of an attack, and it could really get extreme. That's not particularly the sound I want. I want it to sound more like an old analog wah pedal, so I'd back that down to 1. Sensitivity I keep around 50, and once again that's how it interprets the attack. Experiment with that, see what you like best. 50 is where I feel most comfortable with it. And the next little bugger is the actual effects mix. And
effect 0 will be completely dry, or removing that effect completely. One effects
99 has it completely saturated. And you'll notice here with that 2 preamp gain down, nothing else has been changed on the pedal, and you do not get that terrible feedback. So that's what you're trying to get rid of right there. And if there are any other little spikes, or if the monitors are up too loud, the sound guy can actually pull the specific frequency that's actually feeding back down as well. So always keep that in mind. And I do have everything programmed into the expression pedal as well, where if it's feeding back, I could actually pull it myself, pull that effect out of my mix. And let's see, I do have a slight digital delay here. It's at 250 milliseconds. The F-back is at 21. That's just personal preference. Experiment with the delays. Reverb I keep off, and reverb is a tricky thing. That's more something I prefer in the studio and less of something that I actually like on stage. The reason being, any room that you play in has its own natural ambience or reverb sound. If you oversaturate your reverb in the signal, you completely drown yourself out in the rest of the mix in a live room with other instruments playing. And it kind of puts you in the background, and it could be a cool effect if you're looking for it in certain parts, if you're like looking for something a little bit more spacey. But if you're counting on reverb to play leads, that is generally a bad idea. If you're looking for a little bit more punch to your sound, I find that delay is the way to go. Adding varying degrees of delay works a lot better than reverb. So that's a little off topic from the envelope filter, but just something to keep in mind. And here we go. We actually see the pedal in action. I have parameter 1 set with the effects mix, and effects would be the envelope filter, and the minimum and maximum settings. And min and max simply tells the pedal what its values are. So if min is 0, when I pull all the way back, it will have 0 effects in the mix. If I push all the way forward, it will have full effects in the mix. And that about does it with the envelope filter. And our next video, we're going to talk about adding the harmonizer effect to this. And a lot of you are probably thinking, well, you can't have the harmonizer and wah all at once. Well, as a matter of fact, you can, and I will show you how to do that, and we'll actually go over how to program the actual harmonizer itself and little tricks of the trade of what you could do with that. And one last thing I wanted to touch upon is how you actually name an effect once you're done with it. You will hit store, and the first thing you'll see is the stock stock effect name with a flashing letter, and it's very simple. You could change the letter with the low knob, and the middle selects the letter, and you could name that anything that you want as long as it is 6 characters. Once you like your settings, hit store again, and once more, and it will be stored. Alright, once again, thanks for watching.